Welcome to Eat Well, Live Well. I'm Nancy.
And I'm Susan.
We are so excited to have you here today, and we are interrupting our Healthy Hearty Breakfast series to bring you a special series with some holiday meals and easy ways to make them using fantastic cooking tools. Because here's the thing that we know. We can be showing you all the recipes. They look delicious. You're like, I'm definitely gonna make it. And then you get there and maybe your confidence wanes a little bit. Maybe you don't have the time. So cooking confidence in the kitchen is a skill. It is a habit that you have to build. And just like any habit, the more you do it, the better you get. Susan, our resident pro chef, she's been doing this a long time and she's got it all down pat. I'm relatively new. I've been practicing. I've been using some of the fantastic tools we're going to show you today. So we're very excited about this one because we want you cooking healthy foods. Yes. So today, our special guest is Anna with the Pampered Chef. Hello, Anna.
Hi, thank you.
Welcome.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's learn a little about you. Anna, how long have you been with the Pampered Chef?
I have been with the Pampered Chef for 23 years. I started when my older daughter was born. I decided to be home, and I do not love to cook. It's not my happy place. It's not my calm, peaceful place, but I have to do it, and I've always felt like I wanted to feed my family healthy and real foods. So this just makes it faster and easier and a little bit more fun.
Yeah, and obviously you love the kitchen tools.
I do, just because I'm going to show you today with this recipe, there's a lot of, when we're talking about prep, and these recipes, products will just make hard work so much less hard.
Right, and the more we can simplify, the more we're going to do,
Absolutely.
right?
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to let Susan take it away with our first recipe.
Okay, so first of all, we're gonna make a vegan lentil meatless loaf.
She did that for me.
So guys, the first ingredient is gonna be a half a teaspoon of coconut oil, which I've already put in the pan behind us because we're going to saute the mushrooms. And Anna's gonna show us this really cool device to slice the mushrooms.
This is just really fun. It came out a couple years ago. It's called a cup slicer, and it's just because it does just do about a cup. But this is great. We have these big, huge, beautiful mushrooms, but we just go over them.
Oh my
cut them in
gosh.
half, so you can imagine if they were smaller. But again, great for strawberries, grapes, if you want to cut those, olives. You can do kiwi and all of it, anything that's sort of soft, and then it just pops it, and you just keep going around and fill up your little cup.
That's fantastic.
When we need sliced mushrooms, that's what we're going to use.
And it slices them, it looks like, really relatively the same.
Oh, that's the key.
A lot of symmetry there.
That's the
So
key.
yes, it is, because you want to do that in cooking. You want your cuts and chops to be the same. And so that is a great, great tool to have. for
Because if
that.
you ask me to have symmetry with a knife, it's not going to happen.
It's very difficult. Or
Yes.
like me, you have an injury.
Well, I learned that in one of my little cooking classes, that the reason we want the symmetry, right, is so that everything cooks evenly.
Right.
So it's, one thing we're chopping and it's like, oh, it doesn't matter, but it really does. I mean, maybe if you're just throwing something fresh, but it still looks pretty when it's even.
Yes.
So this is a standalone chopper and great for like soft things.
Soft
I love it. Just go ahead and put that on my item list.
Okay. And the kids love this too, because it is kid friendly. Just again, strawberries, anything small and soft.
All right, we haven't even started really and I'm already fascinated.
I know, right? Okay, and then to that, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of coconut aminos. I'm a huge Pampered Chef fan. I have tons of tools here. Actually, I have vintage, I was told earlier, tools of Pampered Chef. So I love this little measuring spoon. Tell us about this, Anna.
Well, it comes in a set. These are the adjustable measuring spoons. So this one goes from a teaspoon up to a tablespoon. What they did do when they had upgraded these is sort of made a silicone edge there so that we can do liquid in there as well, and it won't seep up through there. That's the nice thing. But then there's also the teaspoon one that goes from a teaspoon all the way down to a quarter or an eighth of a teaspoon on there.
Yes,
And it's just
yes.
adjustable. So you have two, takes care of all of those.
Well, that had to go on my Santa list because my sweet husband, to clean it, it pops off. And so he decided to help me in the kitchen. And when he did it, he did like this.
Oh,
Didn't know his own strength.
He's
so strong.
one tablespoon. I love that.
That's nice for a lot of people might pack some food or protein powders or different supplements when you're traveling, and they all have like different measurements. So instead of having to take the whole stack, you just take the two and you've got your variety of tablespoons and your variety of teaspoons. So handy for packing and traveling too.
Correct. So our next thing we're going to throw into a saucepan is going to be our sweet potatoes. And so Anna's going to show us two tools that made this so simple. I started out with one peeler and then she was like, oh no girl, try this. So I did, and watch how easy this
She didn't
is.
start with the other peeler. She was hacking along with the other peeler.
Yeah, and if anyone saw one of our first ones where we had to peel a lot of potatoes, I mentioned that probably my very least favorite thing in the kitchen is peeling potatoes.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh my,
Well,
this
this
is
is like
exhausting.
the Cadillac or the Mercedes, whatever.
So
Well,
yeah,
then it might be something that you need
Just
to
put it on the
try.
list.
You're going to have to do this. So this is the new one. It's always been really nice because it's sharp on both sides. Our other one was like that too. So when you're doing something like a carrot, that you can go back and forth.
what?
Oh, see,
Right?
I didn't even do that.
So if you had a carrot, it would be a little bit easier. But this one's so fun because it's nice to have it this way. But sometimes you want your peeler to go that way.
Oh my God.
And so all in one, you
That's
can.
This is like being a kid in the candy store, the healthy candy store. I don't know.
That's right.
You know, my husband and I had this conversation before because he was like, girl, how many things can you buy from Pampered Chef? So you know what I said to him? I said, oh, like how many screwdrivers can you use? Hammers? Do you mean like that?
Yes,
He
exactly.
said, point taken.
Point taken.
Yeah.
I know. And even as an up and coming person in the kitchen, I love kitchen gadgets. I really do.
Yes. Well, it just makes it, again, more fun, and they definitely are easier. Susan had pulled this out. We thought we might use it. So it's a crinkle cutter, and it's always been nice because it rocks. So let's just pretend that this is some fresh herbs that you can, mince and do that kind of thing as well. But this is why I have it, is for sweet potatoes and butternut squash. It regularly, something that's hard to get a knife through,
Yes.
this just does it in, and I'm just chunking these up a little bit, but this just does it in much easier.
Oh, be careful. Yeah.
Just
That
like
one's very thick.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to tell you, I don't know how many times I've taken a knife. I'm sure this is not the appropriate way. And I'm like, bang!
Oh, no, that's not.
Don't do that.
When you're making exercise.
We will not be filming that for you.
Don't do that.
Oh, fantastic.
So yeah, it just does it easier. So butternut squash, anything like that, that's hard to get a knife through,
yeah.
that'll make a big difference.
fantastic.
So this is the newer, in my 23 years, I've probably gone through 8 different mandolins. And I run into people all the time that have mandolins. They use them once, realize they had an artery in the side of their thumb, and so they don't use it anymore. Yeah.
Oh.
Scared for it. Yeah.
It took me a minute. I got
Yeah,
it.
That's it. So
Yeah.
this one is called the Rapid Prep Mandolin, and I'm going to show you a couple reasons why it's so much safer. Usually on a mandolin, you're taking the food
Yes.
over a blade. This one you can see, I'm going to hold the food and the blade comes down over it. So it's a lot less than this. So that's the one part. The other part is that a lot of times you can get different cuts and different thicknesses by switching out blades. This one does a slicing, and then it does it in all these different thicknesses. It does a French fry cut, which one of my favorite things to do with this is if I do, we all love French fries, but you know what I will do?
She heard me.
I will do jicama with this. I love jicama on a salad or on a veggie platter. It's a great dipper. So if you do the jicama on the French fry setting, it's a great dipping
That's
side.
fabulous.
And then it also does matchstick. So it's great for, I do sushi making workshops sometimes, and we'll do cucumber and carrots, and we'll do it that way. But if I need shredded carrots or shredded zucchini, I'll put it on the matchstick, and then I'll just do really thin here. So I can do a thickness all over.
So no extra blades you're trying to
We're just
find and
turning
figure
this
out where
all
you put them.
over. Yeah.
Well, let's just show them each
I'm
cut,
going
because
to.
we're going to saute it in the pan, guys, and then we're just going to be adding it to a blender. So, and this one's not going to make that much difference.
Of what it actually looks like.
The size.
And that's what I love. So we're going to start with, I'm just going to show you how I'm going to put it, but then I'll flip it this way so you can see. But this is just going to be a thin slice. What's happening?
Oh, it didn't.
There we go. Fabulous. Oh my gosh.
And that's how sharp it is. I'm not even pushing, giving it.
Oh, and then you have this little guard that you
Yeah. So you just give it again. You don't have to give it. You don't have to give it a lot of push.
Was
It's
that
just,
on my list too?
I feel like it's on. Honestly, I'm going to say I feel more pro just watching.
Oh my gosh, I know. I didn't think
because you love French fries so much, I'm gonna have you do the French fry one.
Okay.
fun.
So look, we're
And
gonna
I
throw
love
in
a
some
sweet potato
here,
fry.
and go ahead. I've already set
I don't have to do anything but push it down.
Correct.
Nancy,
Ooh.
professional.
Oh my gosh, this is brilliant. And I have a bunch of sweet potatoes at home. Tonight, I feel like some air fried French fries are coming into play.
That looks amazing.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
What was the other setting?
The other one is the matchstick. And so
Just
again,
do a few of those.
yeah, what I usually do is, again, if a recipe calls for diced potato,
Yeah.
they get French fried
Yeah.
because it's
That's
just
perfect.
a long, it's just
That's
a long dice.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Oh, yeah. It does. Just like little carrots.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the time saver, I'm already clocking 20, 30 minutes we
Yeah.
just saved, right?
Yeah, well,
Between
because-
this and this and trying to get
Yeah.
them even.
And what's nice, you do a vegetable soup, you can put a chunk of onion in there, you can put potato, you can do everything. It just comes right here into your little
That is
container.
absolutely fantastic, Anna. I can feel I feel my Christmas. I just had said, I'm like, I don't need anything for Christmas. I'm taking it back. I'm taking it back.
I just need 1 cup of those,
Oh,
ma'am.
good.
That's all I need.
So we'll have some leftovers for,
That's
And then Susan, what are you doing over
I'm
there?
gonna saute these lovely, let's see, they were thinly sliced, they were matchstick, and they were French fried sweet potatoes.
Yeah. So how much, like
This
for
is
this
a
recipe, how
one
many,
cup.
1 cup of sweet
And this
potato.
is 4 servings that we're making today. Our original recipe was like 8, and I was like, whoa, okay, no. We don't need to make that much, right? So
Right.
this is 4 servings.
And just as an FYI, the reason it's okay, they're all the different sizes and things like that is because we are later going to just process them, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you can use the mandolin, chop these whichever way you want, it's totally fine. Saute them because later during this recipe, as you'll see with Susan, we're going to go ahead and use a food processor for that. So what we're doing is, this is the lentil meatless loaf, and it's really a hearty meal to have. It can serve as a main, so whether if you're plant-based, vegan, or you have friends that are, or you're just trying to incorporate more of the whole foods into your diet, this is great because everybody is fully satisfied with it. And then you pair it with different sides, but it can serve as your main meal. And it's beautiful for the Christmas table, if you do a Christmas Eve dinner, anything like that. So it's got a few more steps to it, but it's really perfect for showing off all the tools. But also, a lot of people, when you are plant-based or vegan, you're like, I know what to do for the sides, but I never know what to do for the main meal.
Yes.
And this is it right here.
And we always test before,
Yeah.
and I made it over the weekend. Oh my gosh. It's
Yes.
really good, especially when you get to the gravy that we're gonna make.
Yes. Teaser.
Yeah.
Do you want me to stir that while you're doing some other?
Why don't
Okay.
you do that? 'Cause
All
we're
right.
gonna do
I'll be
the,
helpful.
We're gonna do the nuts now, okay? So I just need the nuts to be chopped. So you want to talk about your new little chopper?
We're going to use this all through this because it's a great way to puree, to chop things up, to just get things really fine. This is the new electric twist and chop, and it looks just like a little food processor. But I'm going to show you why. Are we going to do all of these?
that. That is actually 1 cup of
you
roasted. I roasted the nuts prior. So you want roasted 1 cup nuts.
And how fine do we want them?
It can be whatever, because it's gonna be in the blend.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have 2 different options here, but here's the reason why, and I hope that you guys can zoom in and you can see what makes this different, is I want you to watch the blade, because the blade isn't just gonna go around.
Look
Where
how fine that
regularly,
is. Yeah.
regularly, you would have to, when you do a food processor, you buzz it and then you have to open
Yes.
and push things down. Because that blade not only turns, but it goes up and down
Oh,
with just a few
wow.
seconds that way.
Okay, you can dump it in my bowl.
Perfect.
And Anna, does this have different size bowl containers?
It does not.
Okay, so it's
This is
good
it.
for like the kind that we're doing today.
Yes.
But really, a lot of the times with that big bowl, we don't even use that big bowl when I'm doing a food processor.
Right,
Yeah.
something that big. This is just like, because you can put, and you can combine things together. If you're gonna make a pesto is nice. I've done that where I just throw in my fresh basil, put the pine nuts or whatever, all the Parmesan or what you would use,
Vegan.
vegan.
Oh,
the
yeah, you can get vegan
nutritional
parmesans,
yeast.
nutritional
Parmesan.
yeast. Yeah.
You
So
can.
put
Yeah.
those in there, different substitutes. But the point being, you just put it all in there and you push go and it blends it all together.
Perfect.
Does this come, is there a place where you can add like the oil?
This
Is
is
that
the
what
little
it
cup
is?
here that you put up, I think it's up to 2 tablespoons of oil. And as you're blending, then it'll emulsify the olive oil into it.
Oh,
My
that's
nose is
great.
Oh my goodness. Okay, and then to this, we're going to add the 1 tablespoon. I don't think we got this out. The thyme.
Yes, it's right over here.
Oh, there it is.
Sorry, wait.
There. So we're just gonna sprinkle the thyme in with the nuts. And then we need 2 cups. This is 1 cup, excuse me, I'm looking at the original one. 1 cup of the lentils. So I want you to emulsify these 2,
Okay.
please.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say, so Susan did use dry lentils and made these, soaked them, cooked them, the whole thing.
Yes.
Again, if you wanna save time, you can get from Trader Joe's some pre-steamed lentils. If you wanna use canned lentils, that's fine. Make sure they're BPA-free cans. You rinse them, but
I was wondering if your voice would still go on.
No, that's fantastic. It's a good cutoff for me. But as you see, that was great. But don't hesitate. My main thing is don't feel like you have to make everything from scratch. Like, don't be afraid to use things that are going to simplify the process for you in the beginning. And really learn and lean into things. We're all really busy, and most people are not making full meals every night. We're making one thing. Another thing that's great with this, it's also a great meal prep
Yes.
item. You can make it over the weekend and then have leftovers through the week.
I'm gonna add salt and pepper to this. And then I'm also going to add, gotta flip my page here. Okay, I have 2 tablespoons of tomato paste that I'm gonna add to it also. And Nancy, we're going to emulsify those mushrooms too.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you wanna grab those, we'll let her do that in the blender here too.
Oh, you got them, Anna?
I can grab them.
So while she's grabbing those, so the way we have everything set up is obviously we want to be organized while we're doing the show. But it's also, this is called mise en place. And that just basically means you get your ingredients, you measure them out, you lay them all out before you start cooking. And as you're learning, this is just a great way not to get confused, like what did I use, how much did I use, it's all laid out, and then you can just focus on the cooking.
Yes.
And as you improve, you just start throwing things in a bowl, but
Right.
yeah.
Well, and they do have like sweet potatoes already chopped up for you.
Yes.
So if you are in a time crunch, I would highly suggest that.
Yeah.
Just make sure you check the date. Make sure that they're organic.
Yeah, good point.
Yeah, definitely. So now Anna's going to chop up the mushrooms and the sweet potatoes for us.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Oh,
Oh!
God, I love it.
That looks delicious
Smells
right
good.
there.
Doesn't it smell
Yes.
It smells so good.
Yeah. And you can take this in batches and blend it all together in the blender here. But I'm the kind of girl that likes to get her hands in her cooking.
Yes.
So I'm going to add, let me get this here. I'm going to add the breadcrumbs. And I did wash my hands after this, just so you guys know. And then you're just gonna work it all together.
Oh my God, that's the best.
I know, right? Work it all together. Yeah.
To me, when we do things like this or with greens, it's like my version of gardening. Like,
Oh, yeah. To get your hands dirty
You just-
and get in there.
and become
right?
one with the earth, the whole foods.
Right.
But it really is. I mean, whole foods, they're from the earth, they're nourishing, and there's just something special about that tactile relationship with you and your food.
Yes.
Just like we have a relationship when we smell it, we have a relationship when we feel it.
Right.
So, you know, if you're doing this for guests, maybe use some gloves or something.
So you can see it's just gonna form really nicely.
So Anna, you're going to show us an alternate if someone doesn't want to put their hands in there, or you're cooking for a lot of people and they're watching you and they're like, no.
This is called a mix-and chop, and so this is great if you're browning sort of a scramble or something like this. When you've got it all together, it just does a great job of getting it, blending it together.
That's really awesome.
That's fantastic.
I love that.
This is one of our fastest selling products when it came out
That's really
originally.
Beautiful.
It calls for parchment paper, but to me that, what I was saying, if I put that parchment paper in there, it wasn't gonna lay even, because it's not, I mean, you have to make it fit perfectly. So
Yeah.
I said, you know what, I'm just gonna try
Yeah.
coconut oil. And it worked fantastically.
And when you're done, you can put the coconut oil on your hands as a moisturizer.
That's what
I'm just full of tips, full of tips.
we're here for, all those little helpful
And this
tips.
is a Pampered Chef pan, right?
Yes, you're using one of the Pampered Chef stoneware pans, which is probably one of my favorite, and so many people find it useful.
I love it.
The reason why it's great, especially for bread, is because stoneware becomes the temperature of the oven, and that's how it cooks, instead of from the outside in like a tin pan does. So things rise differently, breads just cook more even. So it really is. The one thing when you do breads, I find though, you really want to watch the time on them, because, and what I will do is very quickly, as soon as I can get it out of the pan to
Yes,
cool, to
yes.
do that. Otherwise it does keep some of the heat and it'll continue to cook it.
And saying that, yes, that's what I noticed with the loaf. But with this loaf, you do need to let it cool just a little bit down, not piping hot, because once you toss it out of the pan, if it's still so hot, it is going to crumble. So you need to
Yo.
let it get
Good tip.
just not piping hot out of the oven.
Yeah.
So then I'm just going to take it and put it in the pan.
Our resident pro can do it all by herself.
Look at her.
So question about the stoneware that you, is that why people like the stone pizza things? Because it like helps the crust cook evenly?
Yes. Well, it does. It does evenly. And one of the things we always said about it was, especially this time of year, is that you can't burn on it. So I know a lot of people got started with stones because they heard that, because they burnt everything they put in the oven. You can't burn on stones. Now, that's to say you can't burn on the bottom. So a trick is, if you're using the pizza stone or one of the bar pans, if you put it into an electric oven, gas, it won't matter, but when you put it into an electric oven, you want to put it as low down as you can as possible. Because if you have it too high, an electric heats by those two elements.
Right.
And if you put it up higher, it's almost getting a broiler effect here by the time it starts cooking down here.
Ah.
And the pan becomes this up. So that's the only time I've ever heard is, oh, the top gets so cooked too
Yes.
fast, and that's where you just have to take it down.
Oh, good to know.
That's why
Yeah.
I prefer gas, to be honest, cooking on gas. But I know that's not always an option.
Right.
Right.
Especially the gas stove.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So it's ready to go in the oven. There's only one other thing that you can do on here. I'm not a fan of ketchup too much.
Yeah.
So, like, we have our things that we're like not fans of.
Yes.
I'm not really going to be a fan of the gravy that I'm making. So, it's ketchup. So if you want to put ketchup as a glaze on top of, just like they do
Oh, like a loaf.
a loaf.
Wink, 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 wink.
Yeah, so you just pop this into the oven at 350, and it cooks for, let me see, I gotta find that, 350, what doesn't say there? Oh, 45 minutes. There we
Yeah.
go.
Could you put on top, Susan, like a barbecue sauce
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something like that if somebody wanted, like,
It depends on what flavor, what
Yeah.
you're going for.
but if you want like super traditional, your guys are gonna see the gravy coming up. That makes it like super traditional, the loaf with the gravy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we're going to show you how to make our easy vegan gravy. And so our first ingredient, which was, it's actually dried porcini mushrooms. And what I had to do is I had to bring them to a boil, simmer, and then you turn it off with in vegetable broth, okay? Like a cup and a half of vegetable broth to 1 ounce of the porcini mushroom. And then it actually rehydrates them, so then you can use them to emulsify and make the gravy. We will need to use your chopper.
Yeah. So you put those in the water,
Yes,
boiling vegetable broth,
you boil them in the vegetable broth.
and then you drain off the broth
Yes,
and let them
absolutely.
and then let them dry, or does it matter if they dry?
No,
Nope.
they're ready to use now.
Okay.
Because you want to rehydrate them because they were dehydrated.
Oh, got it. Okay,
Yes,
got it.
So that's what you want to
Phew.
do first.
Is there a reason
know.
to use the dehydrated ones versus
Well,
fresh?
porcini, you just can't find them.
Oh, okay.
You know, so the only thing I could find were baby bellas or shiitake, and so I thought, ooh, I want to try. And you can smell the difference because we
Yeah.
had done the portobellas
Right.
earlier. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can really smell. These are much stronger, so it's going to be a richer. I feel like a richer tasting
Yeah.
gravy with that. So what we're going to do first, that was the first thing you have to do. So you do that, you let it sit, and then you come back and you're going to first saute. I have onions here. I have 1/2 cup of diced onion with my olive oil, a tablespoon of olive oil. Oh, I got my pen way too hot.
Woo! We're
Way
steaming
too
back
hot.
there.
See, that's what happens when you tape. It got way too hot.
Oh,
Yeah.
look at her flipping her pan upside
Did
down.
you see that? Yeah, I'm trying to cool it off some here. Got
This
it
is
way
what you
too
do when you have a too hot pan.
Way too hot. All right, so we're going to saute the onions. So I added the 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and I'm going to put the onions in there, and we're going to saute those.
And just for reference, Susan, do you ever saute things in like water or vegetable broth
Yes,
for
you
those that
sure
are
can.
oil free?
Yes, you sure can.
And is there a different ratio that you use or something that you watch for?
Yeah, I just barely put water in there so it wouldn't stick. Because if you put too much,
Yeah.
then you're gonna have to drain it to add to whatever recipe, you know. So yeah, I would just barely put water in. If it starts sticking, add a little more.
Yeah.
So I would just have some. I would have some here by me to just keep adding.
And the trick is heat the pan first.
Yes.
Yes, heat the pan first, and then I remember when I took because I took the forks over knives, little
Yes.
intro cooking class, and they were like heat the pan first, and then when you put the water in, you can see it start to like bubble a little, and
Yeah.
then I mean they had a lot of different tricks. Great,
Right.
great course.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that was one that you could then you knew it was time to saute.
Oh, okay. And then Anna, we're gonna add garlic to it next. So would you mind showing us your fabulous tool here?
Well, this is the Pampered Chef garlic press, and the thing that makes, there's a couple things that makes this different, but I always say that, you know, if you buy the chopped minced garlic already in the jar,
Yeah.
it doesn't have all the same medicinal health benefits that fresh garlic does. But we do that because it's just easy. So this is what I love, is that with the skin on it.
Oh, you don't
put
have to
it-
take the skin off.
No, ma'am. Oh, I'll put it in here. You press it right out. It comes with this little tool. So that scrapes that right off. But then when you open it, look, it presses it right out of the skin. And if you have a little bit more in there, you can just pick it out. So it's super easy to clean. It goes right in the dishwasher. The other thing is when you mince, sorry. When you mince garlic like this, the more you break up the enzymes, the sharper the flavor will be too, versus if you slice it and cut it, chop it that way. So if we want a nice strong flavor.
I love it. So I have to admit, I'm guilty of buying the pre-minced garlic. My husband is like, why are we not, we have one of these from the Pampered Chef, but I will say we always, when we do it, we peel the garlic. We thought we had to peel the garlic. And then I'm like, to clean it, I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
So
Fabulous.
now I know.
Now you know. You don't have
Yeah.
to.
So now we're gonna add the garlic. And you wanna be careful when you're adding the garlic because you don't want to burn the garlic. So if you have the heat up a little bit higher for the onion, I'd turn it down. So you don't, and once you start smelling the garlic, that's when you want to come over here and grab your cornstarch, which is, let's see, how much is the cornstarch? This is 1.5 tablespoons of cornstarch. Remember, we're making a gravy. So this is like making a roux for your gravy.
What's roux?
Roux is like the base of, it's like a flour.
Of any creamy, of a cream sauce.
Yeah, like, because they make it, a lot of Cajun foods have that
okay.
type of a sauce to
In case
it.
you didn't know, I don't know.
Yeah. So, and I honestly, I was telling the girls, I've never done it this way. Really, I still, if I'm making cream gravy, I don't really add it like this. You know,
What do you do?
I mix it. I take it with like whatever, like if I'm doing it with plant-based milk, and I'll add my cornstarch or my flour to it, whip it up really good, like with a whisk.
Yeah.
And then I'll add it to the hot mixture because I don't like it to lump.
Yeah.
It really bothers me if it's lumpy.
Yeah. And same result, right? So that's like a little shortcut trick
Right.
that somebody could use is we're following the recipe so that if you're following the recipe, you can see exactly what Susan's doing.
Yeah.
But never ever, I think that's the other thing to being confident in the kitchen is we have said it almost in every episode, but never hesitate to experiment, get creative. Listen, what's the worst that's going to happen? Like, right? Like it's a fail.
Exactly.
And we never want to waste food, but you know, listen, you have to learn by trying.
Yeah, no, definitely. And then we're gonna add, this is 1.5 cups of vegetable broth. And then that's when I wanna use my little whisk here. Whisk it all around. Make sure there's no lumps.
No lumps. We don't want lumpy gravy, lumpy vegan gravy.
Yeah.
That also deglazes the pan, which is just putting a liquid in there to pull up any of the good flavor that's stuck on the bottom. I did a party recently about, somebody asked about when to add wine, if you're cooking with wine. And so that is the whole deglazing. If we were sauteing our vegetables, our onion and our garlic, that you have all of that, if you used a little bit of oil, but whatever all that flavor is, you just splash it with a little bit of wine, and then it deglazes it and pulls all that good flavor back up into the dish.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And then we're gonna add some herbs here. We're gonna use, let's see, this one is rosemary. So we're adding 1/2 tablespoon of rosemary and 1/2 teaspoon of thyme.
Oh, I need 1/2 teaspoon of thyme for the
Right,
holidays.
especially right now.
Maybe like a big 1/2 teaspoon. Get that little extra dose of thyme wherever we can.
And then also you wanna add your salt and pepper.
And usually that's just to taste, right? Whatever you want a little bit, but it's always if you like a little bit more, if you like a little bit less, you know.
And then I'm going to throw the mushrooms in there that were rehydrated.
Yes.
And as you can, well, you can't really see, they're kind of far away here, but it is starting to thicken.
And then how long would you cook this for?
It's basically cooked once you've sauteed those onions and that garlic. So then we're going to put it back in the little food processor and we're going to emulsify it all together.
Okay, so that was actually relatively quick.
Yes.
And it's hot. You're going to do it hot.
Yes.
And it won't hurt the machine.
And you're going to add some almond milk, cashew milk, a plant-based milk to it to cream it up even more.
And how are we going to do this so it doesn't spill over? Oh, here comes the pro. Here comes the pro.
Taking your time, girls. That's what you have to do.
That's an applause. That's an applause right there. If it was me, my friends, that would have not been pretty.
Do you want to put the milk in?
Yes, thank you. Yes, and the milk, this is 1/4 cup, and it is unsweetened milk, by the way. So don't get sweetened almond, cashew, whatever.
Yeah.
Don't get that. Make sure it's unsweetened. Because you don't really want sweet gravy with this one.
No, that doesn't sound like.
I know, it's
smells so
fantastic. Oh my gosh, yes. I'm so excited.
All right, and we have our finished product. Yay! So that is the lentil meatless loaf. Dress it up any way that you want to make it look festive. As Susan was saying earlier, you can put a glaze on this if you want.
Yes.
But we didn't do that today. They're going to enjoy it with gravy, and I am not because I'm not a mushroom fan.
But that, honestly, it makes the whole recipe, the whole loaf just amazing. So I'm just gonna cut us a little, this was 4 servings, right? So on the loaf, you would cut it in 4 different equal portions.
Yeah.
And you could, if you were gonna eat the whole thing, you know, you were eating off 4, you could go ahead and drizzle that gravy all on it.
Yeah.
And you could also serve this with mashed potatoes underneath
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah. Some delicious vegan mashed potatoes.
Yes, you sure could.
Okay.
So I'm just going to give us all
Because
different
we've all learned.
Yes, we've learned our little taste.
I will hand this to you over there.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And a little fork for you.
Thank you.
We have all the tiny things.
We do. And there we go. There.
Okay.
All right.
All right, and then you two are putting gravy.
Yes, I want to
It'll be
drizzle
gravy-less.
gravy. And this little chopper has a great little pour feature to it also.
Woo!
Perfect.
They're going to enjoy that gravy.
It looks delicious. You can just set it
Oh,
on.
and we of course we forgot our waters, but we're just going to go for
Oh
it.
yeah, we're going to taste it now.
All right, ready?
Ready.
Mmm.
See, I told you that gravy makes it.
It's got so much flavor.
Oh, that's good.
Isn't it delicious?
That is really good. So, that is our lentil meatless loaf. Full recipe, all the macros below, nutritional benefits. Obviously, we were a little bit longer because we're explaining to you how to make it. But once you get everything laid out, you can make this pretty fast. And again, have it for meal prep, have it for leftovers, variety of things you can do with it. Nice, higher in protein, great fiber, all the things we love, and taste. So everybody will love it, and you can mix and match it with gravies and glazes and all the things. So thank you for joining us in our first episode of our Cooking Confidence Holiday Series. Bye.
Merry Christmas.